Cervantes. You're listening to Organically Blunt, a cannabis lifestyle podcast that's raw, uncut, and unedited. Please enjoy the show.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Organically Blunt. I am Jay Blaze, your host, and this evening I have the honor of not only having the first female guest on the show, but one that definitely knows quite a bit about a growing. Queen of the Sungrown, welcome to the Organically Blunt show.
What's up? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. I did not know I was the debut lady, so that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we've been trying to reach out to more women in the industry. I've definitely wanted to do like a whole series on it at one time. I just haven't met a lot of you yet. You know, I don't get out of Michigan and I don't get out of this area a whole bunch. I'm in what you'd call Amish horticulture area, but it works. Yeah, definitely. You know, and I want to meet more women that are in the industry that have knowledge that are leading it, just like you. The biggest thing here is I cheers, hillbilly, definitely. Is basically you're doing some classes from my understanding, and we definitely want to hear more about that. But before we get into that, we kind of want to start the show like we always do. Where did your cannabis journey begin? So how old were you when you first tried it, and where'd you get it?
Oh shit. I was 14 years old. Let me tell you, it was an experience, man. I didn't smoke for like 2 years after that because I got high.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the backseat of an older boy's car, glass pipe at a park after dark, snuck out, and there's some kids out there fishing, took a hit, went out to go check out the pond, the fishing, and a bear came and ate the fish that we had in the bucket, and everyone was screaming and running, and it was very intense first high experience.
No, I hate to ask, but I have to ask. What state was this in?
California.
Okay. Makes sense with the bear then. Definitely. I was just, I'm thinking, man, bear, I know we got them here. I've seen them, and I definitely don't like seeing them. And we've got bobcats that run around. People take pictures and post up. They're like, well, we seen one out by the mailbox this morning. It's crazy like that. So definitely, that had to have been an experience for you. So yeah. Did you get the high, the feeling behind your eyes the first time, or did it take you a few times to smoke before you actually got high?
Yeah, no, I was so high. I was ripped and I had so much anxiety, and I was like, take me home now. I'm not supposed to be out here. And actually, bears are my spirit animals. Ever since then, I've had this deep, profound connection with them. And I've seen at least like 20, 25 bears in my life since that moment. And that was the first time I'd seen a bear too. So really, good connection, getting high. And then I went home and played World of Warcraft for like 5 hours. So
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Definitely. So, when you get high, everybody's got a go-to munchie, so what is yours?
Oh, popcorn. I love popcorn.
My grandma loves popcorn. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird like that, we have a gas station chain here. It's called Wesco. For some people know it, some people don't. But they are known for their popcorn, and you can get these buckets. I don't know how much they are now. They're like, I don't know, about that big. And you go in there and you bring your bucket, so you pay a yearly fee, and you can fill it up anytime you want for free. And
sounds pretty good. Grandma likes that.
My grandma loved it. She was we owned bingo halls when I was a kid, and bingo and popcorn go together, unfortunately. I'm talking by the hundreds of pounds of popcorn seeds. Yes, like we would go through garbage bags full. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Nice. Yum. Wish I had some popcorn right now.
Right. So tell me, how did you get involved in the growing outdoors? Did you start outdoors or did you start indoors, or how did your growing experience start for you?
Yeah, I started growing inside. Um, I wanted to be growing, I don't know. I wanted to start growing a lot earlier than I did. I think I was 25 when I started growing. I'm 32 now. So I've been gardening my whole life outside. And um, I lived in the mountains all of my 20s, chasing snow, just trying to snowboard as much as possible, and wasn't really like very, responsible or planning anything. I was just like, where's the next snowstorm and festival at, And then
Right.
it got expensive going through. I was spending at least $200 a week on an ounce. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Oh,
okay.
I know, definitely. Yeah. We were just talking about that, me and another guy was like, well, how much would you pay for a quality outdoor grown ounce? He was asking me, this is a guy that we're going to partner up with this year. He's got a large plot of land because unfortunately I don't have land anymore. Once my grandfather passed 2 years ago, we lost the farm. So I don't have it. I'm building back towards it, starting my own. I want to find some land. But until then, I partnered up with this buddy of mine, and we're working with Seedsman Seeds and a bunch of brands they carry and work with. And we're going to do an outdoor grow series. And, I can't keep up with everything that's going on as far as strains. People want me to test so much and everything like that. And it's crazy to think that you actually chase the code too, because I'm trying to get away from the code.
What do you mean chase the code? What does that mean?
Like the cold weather.
The cold.
Yes,
Yes,
it's my accent a little bit. Same thing happened at the gas station before I came here. I roll up there and the guy's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "We got a window, like a drive-through at the gas station. It's pretty nice."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "I need 2 Mountain Dew 1 liters," but I called him soda. I said, "I need 2 Mountain Dew soda 1 liters." And he's like, "Huh? What are you saying?" And I'm like, "Soda. I need 2 sodas." And he's like, "Huh?" And I hold the can up and I'm like,
he's like, "Pop, we're in Michigan."
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I got you." And I'm like, "Man, is it rocket science? Like, I'm not trying to be mean." And he's like, "I couldn't with your accent." And I'm like, "I guess I'm too country for the city, I guess, or something." I don't know. So, but and that's just how it was, And I laughed, and the guy's like, "You should have called it pop." I said, "I guess next time I know what to call it." So, yeah, definitely, it's funny, but that's just small town how I am. Sometimes it comes out, and sometimes I try to hide it.
Well, I feel like most people in Michigan say pop because I was born in Idaho or Spokane, Washington, but I moved to California when I was like 6 years old, and everyone in the north says pop, but you don't say pop in California. You say soda. So when I moved to Michigan, it was like people were like pop. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm back home.
So you started indoors, side off track there, and how did you ended up doing any outdoor, or are you strictly indoor for the people that might not be familiar?
So my first year, I started growing indoor with my ex at the time. I was going to school for environmental science and taking chemistry, sustainable agriculture, and really learning about our food system. And I started applying what I was learning in college to the grow. And I'm like, why are we growing in salts? Like I garden organic outside, but we were getting it. I mean, this is 2016. So the last of the good old days, Prop 215, California medical, at it, packaging and 5 harvests a year, like bam, back to back to back, ready to go for REC, because REC was voted in 2016, but it wouldn't be implemented until 2018. So we were in Truckee up in Tahoe. So even though it snows a lot, it's not that fucking cold. I mean, it can be, but it's like beautiful and sunny. And then I think 2017, I grew outdoor there too. I just threw up a carport and grabbed some greenhouse plastic, 55-gallon drum, filled it with water, aquarium heater, a dehum because it was so cold at night. So the heat from that just kept it going.
Wow.
Ran it like, this is our first time outdoor, and we ran it like a indoor, nectar for the gods, nutrient feed in pots. Didn't do any living soil. It was just taking what we were doing inside and doing it outside, basically.
Definitely.
So then after Prop 215 ended and it was Prop 64, freaking every county in California was allowed to make their own rules. So before everyone was legal medical, we could have our 99 plants and chill. Well, now Truckie's like, no cultivation. So our business, I put everything. I like quit my job with the Nature Conservancy, stopped going to school. I was like, fucking weed, this is where it's at. I love this shit. And I had to move. I couldn't, if I wanted to keep my business. So I moved out of the mountains, out of snowboarding, down to Grass Valley, and was completely outdoor after that.
That's crazy. Definitely.
Oh, I loved it, man. It was such a good change to get out of the fucking light of the indoor lights and be out in the sun and apply my knowledge of science and agriculture and gardening outside.
There's nothing like it. Yeah. Like we have a Sungrown competition here. A friend of mine puts it on every year. His name's Country Roots. And we do it around Thanksgiving. We do the competition. I know that sounds weird, but after harvest and everything, we all get together and we do a Thanksgiving. And the pigs they even have are pigs that are fed leaves from the hemp plants and stuff throughout the year. So it's like all natural, like everything's cannabis, and it's amazing. And we get together and judge it. And they had 84 entries last year. It was pretty good.
Nice. You were pretty ripped after you judged all those samples, huh?
Oh yeah, we were lit. Yeah, definitely. But and I miss it a lot. I do, and we're gonna get back to that. And I'm gonna build the soil up over there. He's got a few years on it already, but he wants to really doctor it in. He's got a few things that we gotta deal with. And once we get them all pinpointed and stuff, we'll be golden. Like I told him, we'll be growing trees. But I'm gonna have to pick your brain on this next series we're going to be running. I'm going to have to reach out to you a few times because we're doing some soil runs and comparing them. I'm not very technical when it comes to it, so a lot of it is learning for me. We're running 3 different kinds of soils: Hume living soil, Pro Mix, and build a soil. But we're re-amending the Coast of Maine soil that we have. So it's going to be interesting to see which one is the most vigorous and performs the best, essentially. And I have a few different meters and stuff I'm going to try. I'll be honest, I haven't really gotten into doing a whole lot of pH in here, and I haven't had a whole lot of issues, but I'm going to try to get into it more this run and try to get a little more technical. I have a Milwaukee, soil tester, and I have a Blue Lab for ppm and EC and all that fun stuff.
But that's the fucking thing that's great about soil is that you don't really need to do that much,
Right.
Like
I
haven't tested my pH in years.
Same here. That's what I'm getting at. Like indoor, I get it, but I've never had to do that. Like never. And it's like I'm trying to get into the practice of just to show people how to do it, I guess you say, but I don't have to do it, and I've never really had a problem. I mean, we face our problems, yes, but nothing extreme, you know.
Well, when you're buying a bagged soil like that, it should already be a decent pH. And really, if
Right.
you're feeding soil, you're not feeding your plant, right? Organics, amendments, it's being chelated and solubilized by the bacteria, protozoa, nematodes, fungus. That's all doing that shit. You're not feeding the plant like a synthetic nutrient. That's where pH is really important, because you are actually feeding that chelated ion straight to the plant. It's like junk food, highly processed. It's going to hit them. So for like synthetics, 6.3 for nitrogen, maybe a little higher for phosphorus. You know, you fluctuate your pH according. But with soil, it's like such a great buffer. If you want to fluctuate your pH in soil, I say more bacteria, higher pH, more fungus, lower pH. And that's really like it. Do a slurry sample if you're in a new, soil mix and you're just curious. Mix your soil with some water, throw your pH pen in there, and then that'll give you like a little bit of a, idea of where your soil pH is through a slurry test. But if you're doing amendments, you really shouldn't have to worry about that too much.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And that's what we're doing, We've got a lot of new things we're going to be trying out. It's going to be fun. So I'm definitely, the biggest reason we wanted to have you on here is not only because of your knowledge and who you are, but these classes. I mean, to be able to get people to get educated on the plant and everything that has to do with it is amazing. So can you give us a little more information on these classes you're going to have, where we can find them, how you can get involved in it and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. So really what started my drive for teaching these classes, I started teaching classes for the UC Davis Master Gardeners, and it was how to build a worm bin at the county fair for kids, and beneficial insects to adult gardeners, and it was non-cannabis. And then I started teaching cannabis classes at the local ag supply store. And I just love breaking down science and making it easily digestible. So I met a retired Forest Service guy out in Mexico, and he was responsible for saving 1 million sea turtles because he started an environmental education school for kids. And he started teaching kids, hey, we should protect our sea turtles. We should clean up our trash. And it was the cleanest city I'd ever been to in Mexico. Recycling bins, organic restaurants, and him alone, he made such a fucking difference. And I thought, I am living during this change of the end of prohibition. Our planet is in dire need of help. My background's environmental science, ecosystem management. How can I merge all of my passions and teach people in a rudimentary way how to save the planet through cannabis? And I don't know anyone more passionate about soil science than cannabis growers. I don't know anybody else who wants to talk about fucking bacteria and fungus like this. It's fucking cool. So I just decided, I kept doing podcasts, and I started doing these classes with Growcast, and, we traveled the country the last 8 months doing these, and now I'm doing them on my own. Going to Boston March 18th. Then I'll be in Missouri April 15th that weekend. You can find all this information on my website, queenofthesungrown.com.
Okay.
But I had a lot of fun getting out in front of everyone this last year. I did move, so I was able to travel this much, but I am settling down and getting 3 gardens started. So wow. I am no longer going to be traveling. After these classes, I am staying home and I am teaching online. So my first online class launches March 4th. And I'm going to go from the basics, starting seeds, all the way to harvest, but each class will have a focus on whatever it is for that time of the year. So this first class, March 4th, is going to be planning your outdoor garden, how to select genetics. So many people, there's so many hype strains, right? Everyone wants you to grow their stuff. But if you're growing outside, you should choose. That's the beginning, fundamental, choosing the right genetics for your region, for your environmental factors, right? Like, is there a lot of humidity? Are you going to have a lot of mold? What kind of insects are there? Okay, so what kind of terpene profile are you looking for? Are you growing for hash? What kind of hash? You want a big bubble hash? Well, then it needs to have the right trichome shape. So starting with the genetics, planning all the way out through your year, that's going to be this first class. Where to choose your garden location. Should you be in a container or a native soil? How do you amend it? I'm giving out recipes for feeding schedules. I'm going to go over everything. So this first class, March 4th, is free for all of my patrons. And that's $10 a month. So if y'all are not a member, sign up, Queen of the Sungrown, patreon.com/Queen of the Sungrown. And this first class is free. Don't sleep. I literally just launched this 3 days ago, put it live online, and I like the class is selling out. So
I can believe it. I hate to say it. You literally, this is me right now. You just blew my mind. Like, man, your knowledge is impressive. You should be proud. Your family should be very proud of you because
thank you.
You're doing good things. I mean, I just had Mendo Dope Boys on. They're doing classes at their farm, which is cool too, especially for people that can get to that area, and they're doing seed to harvest like you are. But, like even Jorge Cervantes said, he used to do paperback books. His latest book is digital. That's where it's going. I mean, you got to keep up with the times. And I think you're going to reach a bigger audience as a whole, going the digital route and offering your classes the way they are versus doing your tour. I mean, you're still going to reach a lot more people, but I think, man, it's going to be impressive. Now, is this going to be something that eventually you want to have some kind of accreditation with it, or how do you plan to future grow this? I guess you said.
Honestly,
what is your plans?
I am planning on recording every class and having them available to buy on my Patreon. Okay. I'm also getting ready to work with the Holistic Institute, the cannabis, Dr. Pepper Hernandez, doing volunteer teaching. I really just want to get the information out there, and I'm going to take it one step at a time. I just partnered with Seedsman, so I'm growing their genetics this year. I'm writing for them. They're helping cross promote my classes. I've got sponsorship with Organics Alive, Bigfoot Myco. So I'm really just trying to bring in these companies who are all about the sustainable movement and get more noise, make more noise about this, because Sungrown is superior. I don't care who you are.
Definitely.
Ask the bubble hash washers, ask them like what washing well, what's going to give you the best return, what has the most terpenes. It's Sungrown. And why is that? It's because of biodiversity. Plants need biodiversity to create terpenes. When you're in a moderated indoor environment that doesn't fluctuate, there's no pests, there's hardly a change in temperature, you're not allowing your plant to express itself. Terpenes are the way plants communicate with other organisms, with bacteria, with fungus, with aphids, with other plants. So the more plant diversity you have, the more terpene diversity you have, because those are essentially the way the plant is communicating.
Right.
And we are seeing legalization open up across the country, and more people are like doing indoor. I want to try and get as many people outside as possible now that we don't have to hide anymore.
Same here. I got yelled at. I guess you can call me a Facebook Nazi. So I go in our biggest area town group. It's an informed group. That's what they call it. And I post anonymously, and I'll post about some of these dispensaries just to get people riled up. And I put on there today, I said, because I had to make a delivery to one, and they don't know who I am half the time when I work in my day job. And I made a delivery, and I leave, and I'm looking at the demographic in the parking lot, and I'm like, well, I want to see what kind of demographic is attracted to, cheers everybody, to this location. And I'm looking, and it's senior citizens, a lot of them, and a lot of, I would say, 21 to 23-year-olds. And I'm thinking, okay, younger, naive people and people that are also naive, but yet they're trusting. These people go in there like it's their medicine, like it's a prescription at Walgreens, and trust that they're getting the right thing. But a lot of these people are, especially the senior citizen community, are green thumbs. They've been green thumbs all their lives. There's no reason why we can't educate them and teach them how to be substantial in growing their own medicine, so they know what's in it, and that's what I was looking at it, and I'm like, man, they're gonna rob the senior citizens blind here, and it's sad because my grandfather, and my grandmother were both, they always felt like they were getting taken advantage of, when it came to stuff because of their age, and I feel bad for that. So, you to offer this class, and for somebody such as them, because most senior citizens are getting hip to things, they might be able to take your class and learn something,
The first time I started teaching cannabis classes in California at Peaceful Valley, check them out, groworganics.com, fucking amazing website, amazing store. If you're ever in Grass Valley, California, that's where I used to buy all my farm amendments. Okay. They had me teaching a cannabis cultivation workshop that was essentially what I'm doing now online, but a little bit more beginner. And it was all older people, 55 plus.
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm big on that just because I was raised by older people. My grandparents raised me, and I guess I've always had that old soul, and I've always, when I see older people struggling or I can't open a door or something, I'm always like trying to help them. People around here, they're not like that around here. And they'll be like, what are you doing? And I'll be like, helping them, like, if I don't, who will? So definitely. Mm-hmm. Jones N2 Grow said, I'm a former customer of Peaceful Valley. I can't pronounce the rest. I apologize. But
El Dorado County represent Foothills. I gotta say, shout out to the Foothill region of the Sierra Nevadas, El Dorado County, Calaveras County, Nevada County, Yuba County. That is the best weed I've ever smoked in my life, is all of that Foothill region. That sun-grown, greenhouse, light depth. You can get 3 pulls a year. It's amazing climate, and you can grow anything. I fucking love it.
Definitely.
No regret. I miss living there. And I've been talking with my husband about possibly moving back because it's just unparalleled, uncomparable.
I'm looking at Kentucky, the foothills of Kentucky, but I gotta wait until they get rec. They got some medical going, but they ain't ready for the rec yet. My family lives there. My family is actually tribal, and they live off their land. And I'm just waiting, I'm just waiting to get down there because that's where I really want to be. Ever since I went down there, and I was in this place called Snake Lick County, and it was just this little county, like Snake Lick Road. I don't even know if it was the name of the county. I think they just named it themselves, but it was like it was just like a snake, literally going through the mountains and streams on both sides. And your driveway, you have to go over the stream, and you're in the mountain. You wake up and the mountains are literally like 360 degrees around you, and you're like, holy cow! No cell phone signal, no internet. You're living, and it was beautiful, and that's where I want to be eventually. That's my dream, but I can feel you there, you get out and do the sun-grown. That's where it's at. So, you're going to be doing these classes too. And I actually heard about you through Growcast, believe it or not. And me and Jordan have been sending emails back and forth. He was supposed to be on last week, and he thought he was supposed to be on at 10 a.m. And I had him scheduled for 10 p.m. And he texted me at 9:30 in the morning and asked where I was. And I was like, I'm in bed, but aren't we scheduled for this evening? And he's like, oops, yep, you're right. So we're waiting to reschedule. So that'll come. Definitely.
That's funny. Sounds like Jordan.
Yeah. It's been fun, and I even had to go back through the emails. I'm like, let me go back and double check to make sure I'm not late. And he's like, oh crap, you're right. And I'm like, I knew I was like, I always set a phone reminder. So I kind of, was my reminder wrong, or was he right and I wrong? It was a lot of jumping back and forth until I figured it out. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's not until tonight. He's like, oh man, I looked at that wrong. And I'm like, no worries, we'll get there.
Yeah, dude,
Definitely.
this is pretty late. 10 o'clock. I mean, it's only 7:30 for me, but I'm up usually at 5 a.m. I work from like 5 or 6 till 2 or 3, 4, 5, depending on the day, and then in bed by like 7:30, 8. So you got me out late. I'm partying tonight.
See, and I work typically from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday. I know that sounds crazy. 7 days a week. I'm out here. I do 6,500 miles a month. It's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. I did almost 80,000 miles last year. It was crazy. But back to some of the questions that we ask everybody. One of the ones I always ask everybody is, if you could smoke with anybody, I'm talking anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Shit, that's a really hard question. I mean,
and I always ask for the most organic first thought,
Okay, well, honestly, the first thought is Laura Ingalls Wilder. I would just want to meet her. She's my like childhood role model, the little pioneer girl. I know that's crazy, but I love the old time pioneers.
Yeah. My mom, I remember watching that as a kid coming home, My mom was all into that. As a kid, we didn't have a whole lot. We grew up kind of poor, and I remember coming home watching like Lassie and Flipper and Little House on the Prairie and MASH and all that fun stuff. Definitely. So we got a question here. Can you ask if the Queen has any experience combating, here, see if I can make it bigger here. I can't pronounce the word.
Fusarium?
Yeah. Biocontrol agents.
I did not have fusarium, but my property mates had fusarium in their greenhouse, and a really good treatment is trichoderma. There's trichoderma, and then there's this one strain of virin. It's something G virin. So I would get biocontrol in there, and then obviously change the environment for mold, right? So trichoderma is one of the most aggressive species of mold or fungus there is, and that will do a really good job of outcompeting it. But you also want to change your environment so that fusarium is not welcome in it. So look and see where your temperatures are, your RH, let things dry out a little bit until you get things under control. But yes to the bioagents. Figure out the life cycle. Everything has a cycle in life, right? Everything has its role, has a competition, has a carrying capacity in that ecosystem. So figure out what its weakness is, and then what it does, attack it from that.
Man, that's smart. I don't look at it that way. I haven't. And you're definitely opening my mind to a lot of stuff I'm going to have to start getting myself more educated in.
Like I said, I worked for the Nature Conservancy, so I did ecosystem management.
That's impressive.
We would go out. I mean, I was counting fish, really. That was my job.
Okay.
But I would look for quagga mussels, any kind of invasive species, go out and count and look for snails, count the fish, catch fish, take any invasive species, kill them, monitor the flow of the water in the streams, and see where the reds, that's their spawning, where they lay their eggs in the creek, count them, put them in GPS coordinates, and just collect data about the ecosystem and whether or not this endangered species, we're collecting this data for a biologist to analyze and tell us, is this population strong enough to survive? Because it was the last remaining wild population of these Lahontan cutthroat trout. And I've always had that mindset of just like observing and watching how things interact. And so I just apply that into my garden.
Definitely. Man, that's awesome. I'm surprised you weren't like a DNR officer or something like that. It's just,
what's a DNR?
Well, that's what we call it here. It might be the same thing as what you do. We call it a Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, man, they fucking test for weed. I couldn't do that. That's what.
Yeah. It's just your knowledge blows my mind. Like, I had the chance to be a DNR officer and take a job at a state park and work with the nature and learn all that. And the same reason here, the same thing. They tested, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. And
yep.
That's why I started this show, because I wanted an opportunity in the industry, and I couldn't find the one I wanted. So I created my own.
Hell yeah.
I wanted to be a place where people could say, hey, do you know where I can find somebody that knows sun-grown cannabis? I could say, okay, I know this person. Or, hey, do you know where I can get soil at? Okay, get a hold of this, and this, or what's a quality genetic it's just, that's where I want to be. I want to be like the phone book, I guess you'd say. You open it up and you find what you need, and I know somebody. I just have that Rolodex ready.
Hell yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So, where has the riskiest place you've ever smoked been? We'd like to ask that question too. Like, there's always a place people partake where they ain't supposed to, and they get away with it. And then, years later, we can finally talk about it. It might have been, I've heard of people smoking in courtrooms, elevators, fire departments, all over the place, on top of mountains.
Interesting. I see, growing up in California, weed was legal since I moved there in 1996. So
okay.
I never felt like I couldn't smoke anywhere, really. You know what I mean? Like, smoking out in public wasn't like a big issue.
Right.
And then once I got the vape pen started coming out, that was like, I could smoke anywhere I want. Nobody's gonna know.
Yep.
I used to smoke on my lunch break on we'd call it the gondola, but it was the gondola at a ski resort, and we would just sit and light joints and smoke in there on our breaks.
Cool.
Yeah. So we were definitely not supposed to be smoking in there in our uniform with customers being able to see us. So I guess that's probably the riskiest.
Hey, that's still wild. Now, what was like the elevation there? Was it pretty high? I mean,
7,000, 8,000 feet.
Ooh, yeah, that's quite a view.
Oh yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I would say so. We have you've been here, but I don't know if you've been to our ski resorts or nothing. We have a few
Pine Knob, isn't that one?
Yep. they have concerts there. I just went to see Jelly Roll, and I think it was, what was it? Shinedown? Yeah, Shinedown. Yep.
Okay. I lived in Ortonville.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty close to Pine Knob.
Yeah, it's not too far. A lot farther than what I had to drive 3.5 hours to go there, but it was great. One of our partners, Utopic Essential Nutrients, they said, hey, we're going to put you in the VIP to see Jelly Roll and Shinedown. And I said, no way. And I was literally 3 rows away from the stage, and it was amazing. It was a good time. Definitely.
Good.
Yeah. So, it was a reward for doing this. I don't get a lot of them, but it's nice to get rewarded every now and then and stuff. But, I'm looking forward to my outdoor season, and like you said, your first class is going to talk about strains. Now I feel like I'm hoping I didn't create an I'm hoping I picked some good ones. I tried to sit there, and we did research after research. We're like, okay, we need mold resistance. The better the pest resistance, the better. We want early finishers because, right around in October, we start to get a lot of that rain. That rain leads to bud rot. We don't want that. We don't want PM. I defoliate outside, but some people don't, and they think I'm weird for that, but I do train my plants outdoors too, and it's just something I do, Is it necessary? I don't know. Everybody has their own tactics, and
Well, what strains did you pick?
I would have to go grab the bag. It would take me a
Okay.
minute. I know I got something from Strain Hunters. We got I would have to. I'll have to shoot you the list. I deal with so many strains. Like literally today, I just got a box. It was the coolest thing. AB Seed Company, not ABC, but AB Seed.
Okay.
They send you these treasure boxes. I got it out in my car. I should have brought it. And you press this little lever, and the latch pops open. It's really cool. You open it up, and he's got these little jewel. They're like little vials that look like jewels, almost like gems. Like they might like a ruby or an emerald or something like that, or kind of mystical, abstract looking. And it's got a little cork in it, and he dips them so that they don't come undone. And there's your seeds, and then inside the lid, it'll tell you what it's crossed with. Like I know this one's Grease Monkey and something else. He sent me like it was Fruity Pebbles crossed with something else. He sent me 2 of them, and they're amazing. You know, they're regs. They're not fem. He's working on the fem side. He's a newer breeder, but he's got it down, and we're gonna give it a shot and see what happens. You know, and I've got, like I said, I got so many. I've got a binder full of seeds now, and every time I do a grow, I'm like, okay, I try to let the audience pick. You know, I'm always like, okay, what ones do you guys want me to grow this time? Pick. And I put 4 or 5 of them up because I would never decide, you know, it's just too hard for me.
I did that with one of the strains on Instagram. One of the strains for this outdoor season, I gave like ABC or 1, 2, 3 option. And it sounds like the badass OG cheese from Seedsman was chosen. The people spoke, and that's what they chose. Oh, yeah.
Cheese is hard to find too, people say. I don't know. I heard that this morning on another show, and I'm like, well, I never had a problem. I got a lot of cheeses. I'm like, but there's people that they won't even, they're like, oh no, I'm not getting rid of my pack of cheese. And I'm like, well, I guess, you know, in Michigan, it's, you know, I'm not a fan because I smoke so much of it. You know, a lot of outdoor growers smoke, not the cheese, but the Gorilla Glue number 4 and the Girl Scout cookies. And they're both great. They grow amazing here, but they're played out here. And
all the cookies are.
Yeah, and it's like
everywhere.
And it's like I need something different. I need something new. I'm a wedding cake fan, and my biggest grow was the wedding cake. You know, I had a 17-foot plant, basically, all said and done. And I was on a ladder. It was taller than me. And that was my Mendo moment. That's what I called it, my Mendo moment, because it was a tree and it was massive. And I followed their soil recipe to a T that year to make it, you know, what I needed to put in for the most part, which was mostly just regular dry organic amendments. And it was nothing crazy. And to grow that, it was amazing, you know, and I'm ready to do that again this year. And we're going to have a lot of fun. I know I've got a Barney's Farm layer cake runts. I think I picked for one of them. You know, I tried not just Seedsman Direct. I tried a few of their co-brands that they represent, and they sent me the Strain Hunters because they ran out of another one. I've been trying to get the Acapulco Gold. That's what I've been wanting to try, but every time they run out. And one of the strains, I'll have to go back and look. One of the strains you got was one of them that I've been trying to get.
Alaskan Purple?
No, I don't think it was that one. No.
Strawberry, banana, grape?
Yep. And they were out of stock. And I was like, man, because Northern just grew that. And I was like, he's sponsored by Seedsman too. And he's like, it was phenomenal. And I'm like, I got to try these terps, you know, I got to see how it tastes and if it holds up to the name. And every time we're out of it. And then they had some shipping problems there for a while. I'm glad they finally got it figured out because they redid their whole website.
Okay. And yeah. I saw, I didn't even see it when it was the old thing. To be honest, they the owner was reaching out to me a few times on Instagram, and people just hit me up all the time, and I didn't know who he was. I hadn't even ever heard of Seedsman, and I was just like, oh, okay, like, you know. And he's like, oh, did you get have you had a chance? And I'm like, oh, just send me an email. And then the email, I guess, went to junk, and then I thought I blew him off. I was like, no, I didn't get your email. Finally got it, and I was like, oh shit, this is like a real company. This isn't, you know, because people are always trying to send me seeds, and I'm like,
same here. Yep.
I'm pretty picky. I represent, like, I'm good friends with Purple Caper and the Humboldt Seed Company. I was there, Ben and Jasmine's neighbor for years, and like they breed outside in the environment, same neighborhood that I lived in. So I knew Humboldt Seed Company seed, their genetics were bred in the environment that I was growing. So I was like, I can't go wrong with the Humboldt Seed Company. A lot of breeders are inside.
Sorry,
and when you're growing outside, it's really preferable to get genetics from a breeder that's breeding outside.
Definitely. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize there.
That's okay.
I know Nat from the Humboldt Seed Company, and we actually represent them too. I actually just smoked some of their blueberry
muffin. I love that.
Oh, yes. The fade on that thing was the most beautiful plant I've ever grown yet. And I was just like, okay, these genetics ain't no joke, you know, because I grew his caramel cream last year outdoor, and some shitty, I got it at the Menards. I just needed soil at the time. I just moved into my place and I didn't know where to go. And I'm like, okay, I just need soil. No problem, John. Definitely. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to ask it. Rick's great for the conversation here. But definitely, you know, and I put it in a 20-gallon smart pot and put it outside my woodshed. And it was in sun. It was great. And it didn't produce for junk. And I was like, it had to have been the soil because I know it ain't these genetics. And then I finally popped the blueberry. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this thing's phenomenal. And it was dank. So, you know, he sent me some more, and I did his freak show. I love the freak show because I live in a housing community. So I'm able to put it in a pot and put them on each side of my woodshed. And people think they're ferns or tomato plants, and they don't question it. The only thing that's funny is when they start complaining out here, and you'll see it in the Facebook group. Man, it smells like a skunk out there. And you're laughing. You're like, yeah, I think we got skunks mating out here again. And they're like, yeah. And then one old guy, he's like, he knows. He lives behind me. He's like, yeah, them young guys have got to be growing that fucking pot again. And he's got to be a hippie stoner. And I'm just thinking, Yep, you got it, you know, and I tried not to laugh. I keep to myself here. So, like, my neighbors don't really know who I am. I just have plants out in the yard, and that's it. Like,
yeah, dude, I'm, like I said, moved to a neighborhood, and I'm worried about that because I keep forgetting about the smell, that people don't like the smell. I didn't even think about that. I've got plans for, like, a lot of plants this year, and I'm like, shit, I don't know how my neighbors are gonna feel.
The trick to it is to use co-planting, which you know about that. And some of the co-plants that I've used that actually helped with the odor, and you might have to plant it quite a bit, but is basil. It's so strong, you know, so it helps mask a lot of that, you know, and it helps keep a lot of the bugs away. It did for me anyways. I don't know. It could be different there. You know, when we would get ants, I would use cinnamon, and people didn't believe that. You know, people were like, really? Cinnamon keeps your ants away. Yes. But, you know, I can't say it works everywhere. I just, what works here, you know, my grandfather taught me a lot of these tricks. And then, you know, we developed coming across Mindo Dope and a few people. I've actually dealt with Organic Alive before. They're a great company. I've used their product, and I used it in a DWC run, actually, matter of fact, because I liked how it came in a powdered form. I didn't know a lot about nutrients or nothing at the time, and I was doing some homemade DWCs. I made my own buckets and my own reservoirs and all that, and I had DWCR, and I made it out of them big yellow and black totes that you see at like,
Home Depot.
yeah,
Big
and
coats.
yep, and it worked. It worked great. But I did what everybody says is the opposite. I didn't do a lot. They started showing deficiencies. I ended up going buying a product called UC Roots, and I put a little bit in my reservoir, and that helped. But then I started getting algae because I didn't have enough oxygen. I didn't know about that neither. And then finally I was like, well, I'm going to use this for what I call a superstar. And I would get them to where they were pretty good size. And then I would just take the net cups because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know a lot. I was all self-taught off of YouTube, basically. And I cut the net pots off it, and I would put them, transplant them in the soil. And then they would get huge. I would get that.
And you were using the Organics Alive?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yep.
I haven't used them yet. I met him I went to the Soil Life Summit thrown by Grassroots Fabric Pots in Nevada City 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
I vend there. He asked me to set up a table and talk about my classes and shit. And sure. Eric from Organics Alive was there, and he connected with me afterward and was like, I want to get involved. I love what you're doing. And I was like, hell yeah. So we talked today actually. And I am getting a giveaway for a few students at each of the classes. He's going to put together a whole line of all of their shit. So I'll have Bigfoot Mycos to give away, samples to everyone, but then big products to give to a couple students, as well as the Organics Alive. And I'm probably going to give it to the student who has the most alive soil, because we have this microscope and I check it out and I look for, your bacteria to fungal ratio. Are we seeing a lot of diversity in protozoas? Are there nematodes there? And I'll probably choose the top 3 soils to give the fucking prizes to.
Definitely. We do have a question here from Collected Mary Jane. She said, what is a good outdoor strain for the Northeast with the looking to grow a solo tree outdoors for my veteran father?
Okay, Northeast. So I'm not super familiar with that's New York-ish, Maine, Massachusetts. It's super wet early in the fall, I believe, out there, and get cold pretty quick. So I would want to stick with something that could shorter finishing time. Cashmere Kush might even be nice out there. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that is really nice Afghani line, because it's bred, in Foothills where it can have that cold. But if you want something, any Kush plant really that's nice, sturdy, nice internodal that you don't have to give it a lot of work, you don't have to do a lot to it, would probably be really good. I do know a lot of older men like the lemon terps though. For some reason, I just noticed that the high from it, it's happy and energetic. Lemon meringue, I've had really great success with, and that is anything with lemon or high limonene is going to resist mold. So fungus, it's antimicrobial. So if you can find any kind of lemon strain, that might also be a good option for somewhere it gets cold and wet early. And then another trick you can do, which if you're not wanting to grow a monster, and that I'm going to talk about in my classes, is making a small light depth. You can just build a raised bed and put PVC on top of it, and then over and make it pretty tall. And then I'll have a whole class on light depping, because you can influence your plants by just pulling a tarp over it, do smaller, and then it's much easier for an older person to work with. You can do more of a sea of green style with a lot of small plants, clones, so that they're all uniform, the same thing. And then do your raised bed 5 foot wide, 10 foot, one plant on 1 foot center, and then do PVC and throw a little tarp over it and flip it. And then you can get 2 harvests in, a smaller, more manageable plant, and you're able to manipulate that flowering cycle so that you're able to, cut them earlier.
Definitely. I'm basic. I don't know all the terms, but from what I understand, I'm trying to picture how you build this. It's similar to what I was taught is called a hoop house, essentially.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, and on a smaller format, you basically, you put a wood stake. This is the way I see it, on each side of your garden or your burrow, if you're doing burrow, and you put it on, and you take a piece of PVC, make you use, and basically pull your plastic over it. I mean, and then your tarp, I guess you'd say. I've never done that, but man, that's impressive, definitely.
I built two 75 by 20, no, by, let's see, yeah, 20-foot greenhouses while I was 5 months pregnant. Me and my husband alone during COVID. Nobody
Wow,
helped us. That shit was crazy.
I bet.
I just found plans on like the University of Iowa for just a basic caterpillar tunnel hoop house, and figured out exactly how much it would, we needed of everything, found the formula for the arc of a circle so you can get the exact measurements. And yeah, it's super easy and really affordable. But even more, like, you could even do TPosts, just slam TPost in the ground and then do a PVC over the top.
That is smart. Yeah, I never thought of that neither. I mean, depends on how people are, I've seen people take pieces of like what we call rebar, even though, not a lot of people want the metal, trace metals more. They say it increases it, putting it in the ground, whatever. Everybody's got their own reasoning. I won't get into that, but you take a piece of that, and that's what I've seen people do. And then they, I think it was quarter inch PVC, and they looped it over. My grandfather used to do it for different things out here, and that's how I learned it. I didn't learn it from. Go ahead.
You can even do a little bit bigger PVC, like a quarter inch or half inch bigger. Cut it,
Okay.
Small piece, pound that into the ground if it's soft enough, and then you just put your smaller PVC into that and then link it.
Definitely. Lone Star Lark. I'll have to start back from the beginning later. You're always dropping soil knowledge. Definitely. She's dropping knowledge and blowing my mind. Definitely. So, I don't know how long you got here. We've been here almost an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. Definitely you got a lot of exciting things going on. Is there anything we should know about you or anything we should look forward to? And once again, where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, queenofthesungrown.com is my website. And then my membership is at patreon.com/queenofthesungrown. I have a YouTube channel. I don't post very often, but I'm working on that. Seedsman's actually going to be editing all my videos for me. So that's where I've had the disconnect, is that I am not good at the editing. That stuff's like so annoying and tedious. So I'll have more information, classes on there. I am working on if anyone's in Oklahoma, I'm working on some collaborative branding to highlight sun-grown regenerative farmers. And we're planning a Cahoots County Fair out in Sulphur, Oklahoma. So look forward for those tickets on sale. It'll be a whole day of regenerative farmers talking. We'll be teaching workshops on hugelkultur mounds, build your own worm bin. We'll have a fishing contest and make some fish amino acids for free fruit fertilizers. And it's going to be really fun. I'm super excited for this event. So stay tuned for that. My classes, I'm always posting on Instagram. If you ever have a question, feel free to DM me. And then if I have it, I will have the time, I'll answer you. But try and sign up for the Patreon. Really, I have so many different tiers. So $5 a month, if it's all you can afford, go ahead, and I write an article once a month and I release a recipe once a month, because I'm trying to help people save money, save the planet, reduce your waste, save money.
Definitely. I might have to check that out. Definitely. I was on a couple other people's Patreons, but now I don't, because I don't know. I just haven't in a while since I moved, but I probably should, because I like supporting a lot of you guys out there, and you guys help support us. We kind of work together here. But definitely, I have to ask one question that popped in my mind before I let you go. And it's kind of a funny one because I heard it on another show. So you guys have your students bring soil samples to the class, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How big of a sample are we talking?
Everyone is supposed to bring a
I know, that's why
tablespoon.
I'm asking. I know. I heard the episode.
Oh
Everybody's
God.
supposed to be bringing these teaspoons or tablespoons, and here Jordan's got Ziploc baggies full, and I'm like, oh, I gotta ask about this. I'm like, I gotta razz her up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, dude, and then no one takes it with them. And then I'm like, have all these bags of soil and I feel terrible. Like, I don't want to throw this away. I should be collecting this for like one giant IMO collection of everybody's different microbes and mix it all together and make some kind of
Like you
super
said, I
soil.
think it's a good idea. I think you should do so. I think that should be like the end of your tour. I think you
I should have kept saving them. I've been doing this for like 9 months now. I haven't saved any.
It's not too late to start now. I mean, it would be kind of cool to see that, because you got soil from all over your geographical locations, and you mix it all together, like Collective Mary said. Yes, great for super soil. Just to kind of like a trophy for yourself at the end. It'd be kind of cool. Definitely.
Well, honestly, we get a lot of native soil samples, but predominantly it's bagged soil, which I'm trying to get people away from buying bagged soil because, like you can use the ecosystem around you. You can use native soil, or you can buy bulk soil mixed for you, custom blends at soil yards. Usually,
That's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a way cheaper most of the time, unless it's targeted at cannabis. But then you know that it's fresh. It hasn't been sitting in that bag for months, being shipped across, getting super hot, really cold. Who knows what the biology's like? And then plastic waste, the plastic bag itself.
And a lot of them, I know at least the nursery down the street here, they're even their grass seed, they try to cater it to this zone, this area, and that's the good things. Same thing with their topsoil. I used their topsoil because it was screened. I watched the guy screen it right there. He screened it right into the truck that brought it to my house, and I was like, wow. Just like that, it's like, well, we're making sure your soil is fresh and you're getting it. Now, I've never had a lot of problems with Fox Farm, to be honest with you, when it comes to the fungus gnats, like they said. But, maybe you're watering too much, you might want to check that. That is a lot of problems with indoor. I've learned. I'm guilty. So I'll admit it. I've overwatered quite a bit. We just had a mutant, and I just trimmed it up. I waterlogged this thing, and it changed the whole shape of the leaves and everything. It turned it into, I call it a freak show of its own. It's on our Instagram, and everybody kept telling me, kill it, toss it. And I'm like, no, I want to see what's going to happen. And
did you get anything out of it?
Yeah, I got almost an ounce off it. It stung it, and it wasn't great. It was from one of our co-breeder partners, Captain Redbeard, and I like GDP because I use it I have alopecia, so I don't use pills unless I really, really have to. And I get bad headaches, and I get bad sinus problems. And my GDP and my Blue Dream is my Tylenol, depending on how bad it is. The GDP is if it's real bad. Blue Dream if it's just mild. And my GDP, I'm like, okay, I'm going to grow some GDP. And I grew one, and it got real tall, and it was great in the tent, because I don't do a lot of things when I'm doing testing of the genetics for different places, because I want to see how it's going to grow naturally just in my indoor environment. I might low stress, but I'm not topping it, and I'm not doing a whole lot of hardcore because I want to see how it's going to turn out, because if it's something I like, I might put it outdoor. And that's the way I'm seeing it. And depending on how the profile is. And I grew this thing, and all of a sudden it started like dying. And I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, and then the leaves started changing shape. And I'm like, I emailed him, and I'm like, are you sure you didn't slip me like a freak show on accident, or something ain't right here? Is this an auto? What is this thing doing? Is it like, what happened? And he's like, oh, it sounds like you got a mutant. And so I grew it out, and it's like an upside down bouquet. That's the only way I can explain it. Is all the buds are under all the leaves on the bottom, almost like as if they were actually fruit on a fruit tree. That's the only way I can explain it. And the leaves turned kind of like if you were to have dreads and they were to kind of loop down over your head. That's the only way I can explain the plant. Like, and all, yeah, I cut it because I'm like, there ain't crap on here looking from the upside. And I cut it and I flip it over to hang it. And I'm like, whoa, where did all these come from? And I'm like, this is a weird plant, Yeah. I never had that happen. So it's been definitely unique. I've got it trimmed. I've got it cured. Well, it's ready, but I don't want to smoke any of the stuff I just did because I'm kind of trying the fine wine saying, the longer it is, the better it is. I'm trying not to cut into it, but my stash from my daily is getting low. So we're going to get into this next run so that way I don't run out because I don't want to get to that point. It's not fun.
I don't remember the last time I didn't have any weed. It's got to be years, at least 7 years.
Yeah. Well, I used to be there. And then, once my family passed and I had to change and I smoked up all my stash because I wasn't growing and I depleted that. And then I made another stash and then I depleted that. And it's like, I got to get my stash back. Definitely. So, we got some people talking about some great soil things they're doing here in the chat. And it's been a great show with you. I've had you just over an hour. I don't want to keep you from your family any longer. If you want to shoot me them links afterwards, we'll put them in the description below and everybody can connect. For everybody out there, I'd recommend you definitely sign up for these classes. It's going to be a great extra point of education for you, especially if you're a home grower and you're looking to grow successfully. Indoors, outdoors, it don't matter. She's going to have points that are going to work on both standards. So
this is going to be focused all on outdoor, though. Everybody, you best know. I'm not talking about indoor in these classes. Living soil class, sure, that'll be indoor, but I am being adamant about the outdoor.
I'm ready for the outdoor stuff because my outdoor season, I'm getting ready. I'm going to be starting my babies here. I started them indoor, unfortunately, but I do. I'm going to be starting them here. I got a small tent here and probably mid-March, and I try to get them in the ground by June 1. That is what I try to do. But
that's probably what I'll do here as well, too, because it's just fucking cold,
Oh, it's terrible. Yes.
It snowed on Mother's Day last year here in Washington. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be already harvesting.
Yeah, my buddy moved from here, Michigan, to Phoenix, and he sent a picture of a tennis court in his backyard of his apartment complex, and it had ice on it. And I'm like, in Phoenix, really? He's like, it was gone by noon, but it's the point we never get ice in Phoenix. And I'm like, that's insane, dude. I'm like, that's crazy. So it was definitely different. Yeah. But all right, with that being said, if I don't shut up now, I'll keep talking. So you have a great evening. Thank you for coming on the Organically Blunt Show, and you enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Organically Blunt Show, a cannabis lifestyle podcast that's raw, uncut, and unedited. Thanks for listening to the show. We would like to give thanks to this episode's partners: Grow Strong Industries, the mother brand of Gorilla Grow Tint, Kind LED, and Lotus Nutrients. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Seedsman Seeds, a trusted seed bank with over 20 years in the industry. Use coupon code Organically Blunt 10. Horticulture Lighting Group, HLG, real efficiency, real yields, and made in the USA. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Rain Science Grow Bags, one-of-a-kind mesh grow bags that eliminate problems and increase yields. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Growth Bags, the best curing solution to save terps. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Captain Redbeard Seeds, genetics that are loyal to the soil. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Humboldt Seed Company. Humboldt's original seed. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Fish Head Farms. The maker of fish shit. The most robust beneficial bacteria on the market. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Sofim Genetics. Quality genetics at a fair price. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Green Wolf Genetics. These genetics come from a wolf pack that runs with quality and no BS. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Utopic Essential Nutrients. Discover the truth. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Stream Gardening. World-leading mycorrhizal fungi. Dry tents, because we all need a place to dry that harvest. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And in the meantime, follow us on Instagram at Organically Blunt or on Social Club at Organically Blunt. You can reach us also via email at organicallyblunt@gmail.com. Organically Blunt can be found where you listen to podcasts such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Anchor.fm, and Apple Podcasts. See you next time on the Organically Blunt Show.